Guys, this podcast is brought to you by our friends over at Wrestling Collector Shop. The next time you're looking to add the newest wrestling figures to your lineup, you've got to go to WrestlingCollectorShop.com. Started by collectors for collectors around the globe, Wrestling Collector Shop has been serving fans the latest and greatest in wrestling action figures since 2002. Whether you're looking for basics, elites, or ultimates, Wrestling Collector Shop should be your first stop the next time you're looking for wrestling figures. So make sure to go to WrestlingCollectorShop.com and use code SWOGGLE to save yourself 10% on your order. Again, that's 10% off with code SWOGGLE only at WrestlingCollectorShop.com. Hey guys, it's another episode of Going Postl. I'm Dylan. That's George. George, hit him with it.
What is going on, guys? As you can tell by the title of this week's episode, we are taking a look at the many moves of one Hornswoggle. You know him, you love him. He's Swoggle. He's Dylan Postl. He is the star of 6 WrestleManias, the king of small style.
Me.
What do you have a thing that you say about yourself on State of Affairs? Do you have a...
I usually just make up something fun. This week, what
it's
can I
gonna
be
be
on
you
this week? It's gonna be me. Here's what I'm realizing. I am not gonna get the pity votes. I'm not gonna play the pity card like a certain other co-host of mine does in Captain Joe's shoes with those stupid glasses and really dumb hat. Hey, at least he brought the mustache back. Thank God.
But listen, as always, this podcast brought to you by our friends over at Wrestling Collector Shop. You heard it at the beginning of the podcast. There you go. You heard it at the beginning of the podcast. We will reiterate it really quick right now. Make sure to use code SWOGGLE to save yourself 10% over at WrestlingCollectorShop.com. Now, quick social plug. All forms of social media at Going Postl Pod, at Dylan Postl, at PodXchange, PodXchange, YouTube.com/Dylan Postl, DylanPostl.com, ProWrestlingTees.com/Swoggle, SwoggleAuction.com. Get yourself a free $10 credit over at Whatnot. Dylan, when is the next auction over on Whatnot?
Next Whatnot auction will be Wednesday, October 2nd. Wednesday, October 2nd on Whatnot. We got some big boy items. We got some random items. It's gonna be a blast, baby.
Fantastic. And as always, if you want to get some merchandise for this show or our other shows, the Game Marks podcast or the State of Affairs, you can go over to PodXchange.shop and pick up some merchandise for all 3 shows, as well as just some PodXchange merch. We got sweatpants, sweatshirts, stuff like that. But listen, you wanted to run a little review contest, so it is sung to the tune of My Friends Over You. Dylan, whenever you are ready, sir, take it away.
I am not ready for this. I don't do karaoke unless it is I Want It That Way or On the Way Down. To the tune of My Friends Over You. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to be able to do this correctly.
It's just, you know what? Give it your best effort, and that will
going to be more. It's going to be more of a poem of sorts. So this is called A Swoggle Over You again by Wee Woo 97. A pod with Dylan for another week in a row. This is becoming too routine for me, but I'll always listen to his show, and it's all right to tune in at work or home. An hour a show, give or take. It's a blast. You'll get hooked fast. Just maybe you'll listen, and you'll leave a review, a 5-star one. This pod is everything I've wanted, and I've always finished what I started. There's no room left here in my phone to listen to anyone. Though I'm sure yours is still cool, I'll still choose Swoggle over you. Wee woo! That was incredible. the best review ever. We will write us, email us, goingpostlpod@gmail.com. Email us your shipping details. And I have a care package coming your way. Guys, head over to Apple Pod. Leave us a 5-star rating if you would, if you feel so happy to do so. Leave us a review, and you could be the next review of the week that gets a very special care package from yours truly. You'll be getting one of these signed Going Postal 8x10s that are exclusive to this pod. Never been on Whatnot, never been available anywhere besides pod review winners.
You can still review on Spotify and other platforms, but if you do, we'll say take a screenshot, tweet at Dylan Postl, and at Going Postal Pod. You can tweet at both of those accounts, and you can still enter if you listen on platforms that don't allow written reviews. Those still count, and you can still enter. Just post on Twitter and tag Dylan and the podcast, and you'll be entered to win. And with that, Dylan, are you ready to take a trip down memory lane and talk about the many, many moves of one Hornswoggle?
The many moves. Let's get into it. But first, I think there's something needs to be done.
What is that, Dylan?
Ad break. Are you a fan of Disney, Pixar, Jurassic Park, The Office, or even WWE? Or maybe you just want a sleek and comfortable pattern shirt? Then you need to check out Roosevelts.com. RSVLTS.com today. Roosevelts makes the most eye-catching and comfortable shirts going today. Whether it's button-ups, or polos, or hoodies, or even hats, and everything in between, Roosevelts truly has something for everyone. Made for those with the love of sports, pop culture, and so much more. And above all else, having a kick-ass time. This clothing is for the bold and fun, for those who dare mighty things. Roosevelts.com. Check them out.
From the beginning here, backyard wrestling, I just wanted to be a wrestler. As I've said on the beginning of on one of the early podcasts, I just wanted to be a wrestler my whole life. I didn't want to be a midget wrestler. I wanted to just be a cruiserweight. I loved Rey Mysterio. I loved Jeff Hardy. Loved Amazing Red. All that stuff. So that's what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted to be. So I just wrestled as a normal wrestler. I never did midget spots. When I got trained by Ken Anderson and Shane Helms and Jay Cash, I said them flat out, I'm not doing midget spots. I'm not doing it. Okay. And they trained me as a normal wrestler. That's what they did. And I'm very thankful for that. But then like I would do these midget shows or like spot shows, and they would have me do midget spots. And I hated it, man. The tossing back and forth with the ref, ass biting the ref, just all that, the typical midget thing. I hated it so much. And now I look at now and it's like, oh, this is the best. I don't have to bump. I don't got to do anything, and it gets a reaction. Love it. And really early, I decided I was going to do the tadpole splash, the frog splash. Like that was backyard stuff, because I tried a swanton right away, and I was like, oh, this hurts really bad, but I can do it and I can miss it. So I would miss it in the backyard all the time, on the indies, like early indies all the time. I've missed it I wrestled Torito at a House of Hardcore match in like a WLC, and I missed it onto a ladder, like a tabletop ladder. And I was like, that. And Dreamer came up and goes, what are you doing? No. He goes, you got a broken back. I said, I don't have a broken back. You had surgery on your back. You're never doing that again. But it's like stuff like that. I loved doing. And so the ass bite, it's like funny that I literally every match, it's so funny now, Landon can call my match for me. Like if I if I were like sicker than a dog and literally had to like just sit in the bathroom and just that or just sleep, Lannon could talk to the guy I was wrestling and tell him the whole match, the exact match. If it's a normal like indie spot show, Horse Cave, I call them the Horse Cave Kentucky shows, where it's you play the hits, man, play the hits. So literally number one move these days is ass bite. Number one move, especially before back surgery, was tadpole splash.
I was going to say, the other thing that I feel like you're really known for is the test of strength.
Test strength is easy, man.
No, but I feel like like when you think like when you say
current indie,
what are the things that Swoggle's known for, it's either tadpole splash, ass biting, or you start the match always with the test of strength.
Well, I do now,
but it doesn't always end the same way. No. That's I think the best part.
And now I have a real funny one. It's a little tee-hee and out of the crowd. I have the ref ring the bell, and then I tell the ref to ring the bell again, and I tell the fans that I won because he rang the bell for me. Gets a little ha-ha. Get some smiling. Get some little ear-to-ear grinning. And then we go into the grappling. Then it's the test of strength.
Swoggle's for the kids.
For the kids. So then it's the test of strength. Nipples him. He points at me. I bite his finger. He turns because he's selling his finger. I bite his ass. He goes out of the ring. He's mad. He comes in the ring, angry at me. I trip him. I chop him once. I chop him twice. He blocks his chest. I poke him in the eyes. Ha ha. Hey, hey. He, pie face me. Because since day one, my dwarves, little people have really big skulls. And so when I take a pie face or a boot or something like that, and I take that snap bump to the mat, it looks like I'm dying because my head just snaps back.
And you also fall like you are getting shot out of a cannon.
Yeah, that the pie face is something I've always been very, very okay to take. Because it's a short fall, but I can also protect myself, and I just know how to take it well by now. And it gets a reaction.
Like I watched your FWF match against Eric James, and at one point you separate, and he kicks you. He gives you a boot, and man, if I wasn't there and watched you walk away, I was just like, God damn, Dylan can sell a boot.
But I think it helps with my size. Obviously, the bigger the guy, the better for that kind of thing, because they just kind of encapsulate me. Anything like that. But then it's punch, kick, choke. I learned in the beginning when I first started training, I'm not good at being lifted. I am a medicine ball, especially nowadays. I'm a little hefty. So it's all, think about lifting something off the counter compared to something off the ground. That's literally what it is. Lifting a normal sized person for a body slam is way different than lifting 3 feet lower for a body slam. And I can't give as much leverage because I don't have as much legs to jump off of. And also now you're lifting from so much lower. So it is way harder. And that's why I tell them, I said, man, don't try to lift me. I'm not going to go for it. And it's going to be heavy and it's going to look like crap. And then it saves me with everything going on right now. I don't need to be doing that. And I know what gets a reaction still to this day by doing less.
So let's take a step back for a second. So you talked about the ass bite and how that was something that you were doing early on. But at what point does, that whole beginning segment that you just ran us through with the test of strength, the finger biting, the nipple tweaking, like when does all that like?
I got fired. I went Binder, Nick Colucci, my best friend, who got trained with, and I've talked about him a good amount of times on the podcast. I got fired and I go, hey man, what do I do? And he goes, well, what do you mean? I said, what do I do? I haven't worked. I mean, at that point I was working with, Torito on house shows and stuff like that. So I would do a little more than the come out from under the ring, shoot a guy with a water gun kind of stuff and hit a tadpole splash. Pardon me. But I still never wrestled a full match really, beside, maybe 3 or 4 with Torito on TV and then 15, 20 on live events. So we literally one camp day, or it was a Sunday, and I said, hey, let's just go to camp and get one of our students there, and I need to figure some stuff out to do, and I got to do it. Okay. So that's what we did. We literally figured out, okay, what can you do? And we set up like what I call the house show match, the Horse Cave, Kentucky match. And it's the same. I do that, and I realized what I can do. I realized at that point I could still hit the splash at the end. And it was safe for me. But yeah, that's where that kind of started. And that's where I had to realize, hey, I don't have to. And then it kind of clicked. But then I started getting the bookings for AIW regularly. And they're a very indie heavy fan base. And so I knew, I was like, I can't do the same song and dance every show. And that's why, to be honest, I don't work ACW shows, is because I can't do the same song and dance. And I'm not confident in myself. I'm not going to go out there and shit the bed, not in front of my kid and his friends and my hometown crowd. I'm not going to do it. Ethan Page just said to me again, I might have brought this up, but he just put it, I talked to him about this surgery stuff. Oh, here's the deep section. We get a little bit of deepness every week. He just said, because I talked to him about scheduling his back surgery for after the summer, and he goes, what you need to remember is Dylan is number 1. Hornswoggle is like number 3. I said, what's number 2? Is that like real piece of shit Dylan or something? Like what's in the middle? He goes, I don't know, but you have to start putting Dylan as your focus. The health of Dylan is way bigger than the health of Hornswoggle. He goes, and then this is one of those things where he said to me, and I you know me by now, and the listeners know me by now. I don't feel this way about me. He goes, you have done awesome things. He goes, so what? Now you need to do Dylan and dad things. And if that's what you have to do, that's what you have to do. Because you can't keep wanting to do cool things if it's not okay for you to do cool things anymore. And I was like, fuck, okay. Surgery, we're doing it. And if I have to literally the rest of my life just sign my name, I have to accept that. There's going to be a time where that's all I can do and all I should do. I said from day one, when I got released, I don't want to do that. And I feel myself getting to that point. And the minute I told my buddies back here, I said, the minute I start getting to that point, take all the gear out of my bag and either burn it or just get rid of it out of my house so I can't do that anymore. But I know me. I know me, and I'm not going to be. I'm not going to let myself be in control of that. I'm going to keep going because I'm stubborn, and because, if we're being honest with ourselves, it's all I know. I know this and ringing things up at Target. That's what I know. And the minute this stops, and not being able to do an ass bite that's also, we go back to that. That's why I think I do that stuff, because I know I still can do that stuff and get a reaction.
Maybe that's one of the things where over the time for the remainder of your career, however long you want to do it, maybe things just evolve. Maybe you just keep inventing new ways and you know, you get more, because
it's getting more and more real, and it's one of those things where I'm slowly accepting it. I'm slowly going, I'm okay with just being Dylan. Dylan is okay. Like I'm okay with this. Going and signing my name and getting paid to sign a fake name. That's a ridiculous thing to say. In all reality, it's a very ridiculous thing to say. I'm getting paid to sign a fake name. Like, why?
Very few people can say that they have that on their list, on their resume of job skills.
A fake name, period. Much less you're getting paid to do it. Like, then I think like I have that. And I say it in the book, and I said it in every interview. I didn't get trained to sign my name. And that's literally how my mind works. I didn't get trained to sign my name.
We have covered the test of strength, the nipple twisting, the ass biting, the finger bite. Now, I'm going to lump these two moves together because depending on if you were doing the move in a match or if you were being thrown around, you either had some kind of splash or a seated senton.
The Finley thing.
Yeah. So sometimes it was just he would drop you and you would sit on someone's chest like a seated senton, like you were doing the bonsai drop. And other times he would just pick you up and roll you down onto someone.
Yeah. We always said the Finley sit kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which I started doing when I got fired too, and then my legs didn't work, and so I just splashed the guy on the ground. But no, that Finley move, man, that was like, so that started week 1, I think. I think that was a week 1
pretty much
on Paul Burchill. And then it was like Vince. I remember Vince loved it because he goes, "God damn, you ragdolled him. You just threw his ass." And I was like, okay, it works. And at that point, I was real light, and it was funny. And it was, and we did that for months, maybe a year. He would always do that. It was always our thing.
Very prominent in that first.
Yeah, that first the under the ring little bastard era, as I would call it.
All right, so let's also talk about this. Going off of that first run, then we are getting into now the tadpole splash, which is probably, aside from the ass bite, the thing that you are most known for.
I think I'm most known for the tadpole more than even the ass bite. The ass bite now is just kind of what we laugh about, but I think that
you did the ass bite on TV for
I know I bit Vince's ass.
You bit Vicky.
Okay. No recollection of that one.
It's during the I believe it's during the Brodus Clay run.
Nope.
Yep. Okay. You also bit Natalia.
Nope.
Okay. And I think there's one more in there that I'm forgetting. But just in the research for this episode, Vicky, Natalia, Vince, and then someone in a match. I think it was in one of your indie matches. You bit it was Mark when he had the extra pads in his trunks when you tried to bite him and you hurt your teeth.
Nope.
I actually believe that is an ACW show that he did that at.
That was for WrestlingCon?
I think so. He had like, was it when him and CPA and then you brought out Heath?
One of my biggest matches I've ever done. I mean, I'll give it 50% chance that it happened.
There's video footage, so it's like 100% chance that it happened. But
okay, all right, I'll take that. But no, it's
tadpole splash.
Tadpole splash was because I just wanted to do something off the top rope, like I said, and I people hated taking it, and because I land really heavy, because I can't extend my arms and brace myself for the fall, because my arms aren't very long. I can't land on my forearms and my knees to take to take my body off of them. So it's you're getting everything, and it's I remember so I've done a bunch of them obviously, but like the most noteworthy ones are obviously to Vince. When I gave him one, the one in the match, it was the 6-man with Napoleon Dynamite and Big Show and Jericho.
When you do it on the Big Show, yep.
And that one hurt so bad because I landed on Big Show, so I definitely couldn't brace. And he's so big, it just knocked all the wind out of me. And earlier in the match, Napoleon Dynamite, we did a spot in the match, and he kicked me, and he was supposed to kick me in the chest, but he kicked me directly in the throat, and I couldn't breathe for the match. I'm going the whole match, and I couldn't talk. So I was mad. I just remember hitting that splash on Big Show and being like, that hurt so bad. And that's something, again, where heartfelt, man, I can't get up to the top rope. And so we had that, Hawkins and I had that match with Rory at Talking Shop, and I just couldn't get up there. So we had to do the rocket launcher, and I couldn't. So he had to literally throw me off the top rope because I just couldn't get my foot up there because my hips don't work. So that was a very, punch in the mouth. Like, oh my God, I can't do my move anymore.
Next up on the list is your German suplex.
That was because I wanted to be an indie guy, and I knew German suplexes were hot at the time. And then I was like, man, I can do a German because that's not me doing anything. So I was like, I can do 3 Germans because that's even crazier for me to do. And so we did that. And then it usually went right then into I call it the Cheeky Nandos, the Zack Sabre Jr. or Will Ospreay thing where you tuck the head between the legs and you super kick between the legs.
That's the next thing on there. The back scratch into the super kick.
It's less of a back scratch and more of a double chop, just because I like to make myself laugh, like snapping the guy in the back, like a real jerk. But then I tuck the head and I super through. And that's also just because I was like, man, I'm an indie guy now. I have to do super kicks.
Rikishi thump in the corner.
Rikishi thump, I love doing because I got a big old backside and it makes it real easy to take. You're literally going through the whole match and I love it because I'm picturing everything and how I talk it all out. At that point, it'd be 1-2 kick out. The guy hits me with like an eye rake or a throat thrust. Bang, he goes for something. And then old Dylan would hit him with something and then go to the top. He'd climb, I'd bite him, push him, splash him. New Dylan, middle Dylan, when the hips started not working, the guy would pick me up. I'd super kick his knee and then RKO him because RKOs were super hot, for real hot.
Now, okay, this comes up a lot. Is there a name? I've heard it referred to two different things. There's the Swoggle Crusher and the Swoggle Cutter.
I don't fucking name my moves. Tadpole.
But if you had all right, someone on commentary, Top Shelf Troy Nelson is calling your match.
Yeah.
Do you want it to refer to one or the other?
Just call it a cutter. I didn't come up with it. Like a tadpole splash should be a tadpole splash because it's a smaller version of frog splash. Makes sense. It's like a baby. I just chokeslam a guy. It's just a chokeslam. I gave a guy a stunner. It's just a stunner. I ass bite a guy. You're not gonna say it's like the Swoggle bite of doom. No. I hate names because someone did it before you. You didn't come up with this move. If you came up with this move, name it. Name it all you want. But it's already a made move. Like, I don't know. It's just weird for me.
So then the last item on my list before we get to notable moments in matches is your sumo chops that you do, your multiple like open palm sumo strike.
I like doing the Hondas because they usually end with the palm strike to the face. And that go one of two ways. I can whiff the guy because he's not bending down far enough, or he's bending down way too much, and I just smack the shit out of him. And always, when I hit the shit out of him, it's like I literally vocally say, "Oh my God, I'm sorry." Every time.
Implant style DDT on the boogeyman.
Oh, I always wanted to do that. That was definitely my idea because I said, Boogie, what can I do to you? DDT me. I said, yeah, but we got to make it different. And I really liked that because that was a hot indie DDT at the time where they'd push the legs up and swing them through. I was like, I can do that. I'm skinny and he can lift me. So it worked out perfect. I loved doing that. That was awesome. Yes.
Looked like $1 million. What about the swanton off the ladder?
That was because Ken did it, and I was like, man, I can still do this. I'm going to do it. And yeah, I just wanted to do it. I remember, here, I'm sure we're going to talk about it, so I'll wait.
In your match with Torito and in your matches with Joey Janela, you hit power bombs. How cool is it to hit a power bomb?
Oh, the pop-up power. So the Torito one was because I was a big PWG fan. And I was like, man, Kevin Steen bomb or a Liger bomb. Because I was like, the Liger bomb, he was just on that PWG or some indie show I watched. And I was like, man, I love that. And I was like, I'm going to do a Liger bomb. And I did a Liger bomb on Torito. And I was like, this is the best. And then I did one on Joey. And then I've done
it's off the turnbuckle, I think.
Yep, but I've done a couple pop-ups to small guys. Because, again, Dylan Postl, big indie sensation, needs to do indie moves. And Kevin Owens' pop-up powerbomb was big at the time because he just started on Raw and NXT. And so I was like, I'm going to do a pop-up powerbomb. If the guy's light enough, I can easily do it.
All right. How about the Swoggle stunner onto Joey Janela?
The stunner was literally because I couldn't do the splash anymore.
Okay.
And my back at times hurt. So I didn't want to do the cutter. So I would just do a stunner. And Stone Cold Stunner is the most over move of all time. Bar none.
Agreed. 100%.
Bar none.
There's a reason they brought it back.
100%. Yes. So doing it always got a reaction. And if you're gonna react to an ass bite, you're gonna react to a Stone Cold Stunner.
Oh, hell yeah.
So that's literally why I do it. It's easy on me. It's really easy on the guy taking it. And then randomly I just started doing a choke slam. But
That's on the list. The Danhausen choke
it's
slam.
literally as a complete joke because I was like, I'm going to choke slam someone where it's goozle them and then put the arm over and then choke slam. It's just the funny business of the guy selling it of, what are you doing? This ain't going to work. This ain't going to work. And then it works. And people like, that's my newest thing, is doing that instead of the stunner. And people enjoy it. And it's easy. It's really easy on me. And the guy's taking his own bump. So it's awesome.
The sit down face to face with Eddie Kingston.
The bar brawl.
Yes.
All I wanted, man. All I wanted.
Firing off on him.
I did it with Nick Gage too.
Yep.
Because again, indie sensation Dylan Postl. That was real over at the time. Those stupid real fights that I don't understand why people like them. But man, just punching each other in the face for man, just let me bite your ass. That'll be even cooler. We don't get hurt that way. But I was like, I'm gonna do it. And that Eddie Kingston match, it's one of my favorite matches I've ever done, because I was like, Eddie, I'm such a fan of Eddie's and his hard work and what he's turned into and become. I'm so happy for that. And but even at the time, I was such a fan of Eddie as a dude and as a wrestler. So to be able to do that, and I was like, we have to do a bar fight. We have to, obviously. And then, peek behind the curtain, that match, I had an idea for him to set his hand on fire and do a back fist to me. We were told that the building probably wouldn't have liked that, and so we didn't do it. But I bought a bottle of Bacardi 151 so he could light his hand on fire, and he was all for it. And I was like, because I brought it up that day to him. He goes, I don't know. I said, let's do it. Light your hand on fire, back fist me. Not going to get bigger than that. And I said, it would be a real cool GIF.
Can't wait for it to become a meme.
Yeah. But we didn't end up doing it because the building wouldn't have been happy.
What is one move you've always wanted to do but couldn't pull off?
I was in the backyard. We were backyard wrestling, and it was the big backyard company where we had the quote unquote actual ring that was made out of railroad ties, but we had ropes that we could climb and do stuff off of. And then we had for a crash pad, we had an old mattress. That was what everyone used, and that's how we used. I remember as a 17-year-old skinny Dylan Postl doing a 450 once, and then every other time landing on my feet. And I was so mad because I was like, I'm going to do a 450 in a match. That's my goal. I'm going to be the first midget to do a 450. I could never do it, ever. But so that was always a thing I always wanted to do, was a 450. I landed on my feet because I could never, but I did the full rotation onto my belly once. Justin Dredd was there, and one of our other backyard buddies were there. I remember it was a Saturday afternoon when we all just went to the ring to hang out and practice moves on the crash pad. And yeah, that was always the thing. I was like, I'm going to be the first midget to do a 450. And it just never worked. But I would not be still doing that to this day.
Was there anything in WLC that you had hesitation about doing, but now in hindsight are glad that you did? And I'm going to add on to that, and I'm going to say, is there anything that you wanted to do that either you couldn't get in because of time constraints or you didn't feel comfortable doing it?
Nothing I was hesitant on doing, because I wanted to take and do everything we possibly could. So there was never a worry of taking anything I did. I remember, I don't think I sabooed a chair, but I remember I wanted him to saboo me with a chair. Because I'm not an ECW guy, as we know, but I love the saboo chair throw so much. I wanted to do a saboo chair throw, and that was the only thing I can remember that was turned down.
What is one or multiple moves that you will not take?
I took a pile driver from Nick Gage, and I was very, very worried about it. And then I took 3 of them. It was either 3 of them that same match. And I will never do that again. I will never take a pile driver again. Yeah. Yep.
Anything else on that list?
Now, just really anything lifting.
Well,
now, really anything lifting.
Yeah.
Back then, no. When I was when Indy Swoggle was on his roll, I was ready to take everything.
Swoggle's taking Canadian destroyers every night.
So there's a thing. MJF, I wrestled him at AIW, and he wanted me and begged me to give him a Canadian destroyer. And I said, absolutely not. It will not work. And he goes, yes, it will. And so I vetoed it. And I told him, it'll happen when we wrestle next time. I promise you. And then he got signed and we never got to wrestle.
How about Landon's favorite wrestling move?
Double stomp. He every time he's at camp, he just does a double stomp. And then that.
I was thinking package pile driver.
100%. It's usually that. He rolls him into, he's been into double underhooks lately into something, but then he always hits a double stomp every time.
I've realized how much more than just ass fighting I've done in the past. I've done some pretty cool things in the past, and now just a good ass bite nipple twist stunner does the job at times. But my body is feeling better. I'm starting to move more. I've actually been getting in the ring at our training school, teaching a little bit here and there. I reffed the student matches a couple weeks ago. I've never reffed matches in my life, especially student matches. I will say, they try to do a couple fast pins, and I might have just counted out loud. Might have done that. But I'm moving better. I'm feeling better. I'm trying to add to my repertoire, and now I can look back at what we covered, and maybe I'll throw a cutter here and there. Bender Colucci likes when I do the cutter, and I'm trying to do it more. But who knows what you'll see at the upcoming shows I have.
Should do a second rope jumping cutter.
Not a chance. Dylan is the days of climbing the ropes for Little Dill are in the past.
I wouldn't say to get to the top rope. This is the second rope.
I would no. If I'm going to the ropes, I'm going to the top. I haven't.
I'm looking out. I'm trying to look out for your body here.
Listen. I got one more in me, and that's it. I seriously. Again, I don't know if I could even do the splash anymore because I don't know how to land. It's been so long since doing it. I need to do it.
If only you had a place where you can go and test it on crash
with
pads.
A crash pad all the time. Yeah, exactly.
If only you had a place to do that.
I just need to do it. Guys, thank you. Again, a bit of a rewind. I like going in our back catalog in our
archives.
Archives, that's the word. Not good with words. WWE didn't let me speak. That's why. So I like going back in the archives and realizing just some of the episodes that you guys may never have heard. And if you have, maybe we can get your thoughts on them now. Even more. In the Discord. Join the Discord over on patreon.com/PodXchange. That's PodXchange. Join the Discord. The Discord has been on fire lately. A lot of interactivity, a lot of fun. Also, in that Discord, you can vote for the next watch along for the watch along for State of Affairs. Shoes and I do. We have a list. He made a list, and we're gonna give you guys 4 options. So stay tuned in the Discord to that.
I will say this: you can absolutely.
I did good.
You did very good. Very good.
I'm getting better.
I will say this
I'm not even looking at notes.
You can notice the big difference between the audio quality back then to now. And boy, oh boy, am I glad that we got you that upgraded setup because you can tell. You can tell.
It's what would that would have just been off of? Was I even using them? I was.
You're on your Blue Yeti mic.
Yep, my Blue Yeti mic, which I always had problems with.
Yeah. But as always, guys, social plug time at the end of the episode. At Going Postl Pod, at Dylan Postl on all forms of social media. YouTube.com/Dylan Postl for the free video versions of this podcast, as well as the video diaries and unboxings and a whole lot more. Dylan's putting stuff up there all the time. It's not just the podcast. There's so much more. SwoggleAuction.com. Get yourself a free $10 credit over at whatnot, DylanPostl.com, and ProWrestlingTees.com/Swoggle for all things Dylan merch. PodXchange.shop for merchandise for this show, Going Postl, and Game Marks Pod. But speaking of the Game Marks podcast, that is another podcast that I do. It is myself and former Create a Pro champion Johnny Clash, but on this podcast he goes by
Carus!
And we break down a new and different video game each and every week. We recently expanded our catalog to just be all video games. We are no longer just a wrestling video game podcast. We now play all video games. We just broke down Super Mario World for the Super Nintendo. We hope that you will join us for that. But guys, we appreciate you hanging out with us for another episode, and we hope that you'll join us for the next one. As always, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and leave us a review and a rating on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you choose to listen. You can be entered to win a signed Going Postl 8x10 by the man himself, Swoggle. All you got to do is post your review on social media, tag at Going Postl Pod and at Dylan Postl. And yeah, that's it. Dylan, whenever you're ready, sir.
Yep.
Signature Dylan Postl sign off.
Tell me why it ain't nothing but a heartache. Tell me why it ain't nothing but a mistake. Tell me why I never want to hear you say that I want it that way. That I want it that way.
Bye, bye, bye.
Guys, let's talk about Mad Cat Beard Care. They make my beard feel soft, silky smooth, and they can do the same for yours. A one-man show since 2019, Mad Cat uses a portion of their sales to care for local stray cats. That money covers their medical bills and finds them safe spaces and forever homes. Their products are made to order with vitamins and all-natural oils that promote strong, healthy hair and moisturize your skin as well. They've got exclusive scents for myself, as well as other wrestlers like my good pal Brian Myers, Mr. Kennedy, and Ring of Honor legend Delirious. Make sure to check out all of their scents, along with my Swoggle scent, which has notes of lavender and sage. I absolutely love this scent. And guys, we've got an exclusive offer for listeners of Going Postl. Use promo code SWOGGLED to save yourself 15% on your orders only at madcatbeardcare.com. That is Swoggled with a D on the end, to save yourself 15% on your orders at madcatbeardcare.com. Guys, that's 15% with promo code SWOGGLed, and remember, the Mad Cat makes a happy beard.